Okay, everybody, this is LMP Games, and we are back for yet another First Impressions video. Tonight, we're going to be talking about a game, and if you're wondering why there's lots of stuff on PS5 recently, or most of this has been on the PS5, it's mainly because I'm trying to flesh out my PS5 library, but also because I haven't used my PS5 for a lot of things, content-wise, and I kind of need to do that to make it worth having purchased it. So that's the other part of it. But yeah, I'll be doing more stuff on Switch and PC as we go through, probably in Season 2. I'm trying to get through some backlog of games that I want to buy and check out too. So I'm kind of also, through the Switch experience thing, kind of looking at games that I own or want to have owned, like on Steam, or want to buy, getting those and seeing how good they are. I'm not afraid to spend some money on a potential bad game, you know. Especially if it like helps other people not buy that game too. Kind of like a public service sort of thing here. Anyway, so tonight we are going to be looking at a game called Asterigos. Curse of the Stars. I kind of just got this one on a whim. It looked interesting based on what I was seeing. It has like like some of the screenshots I've seen for this and like stuff on the back of the box kind of has a real Souls-like feel to it, and I'm a sucker for Souls games, so if it seems like a Souls game, I'm gonna get it, see how good it is, or Souls-like rather. This game is made by Tiny Build. I don't know why, but their logo kind of reminds me of Prison Architect. And it's published by Gearbox. What is this thing here? There's another company logo on the back here. Acme Game Studio. Maybe Tiny Build is the engine? No, it's not the engine. I'm not sure what Tiny Build is. But maybe it's, I think it's actually Acme Studio that made the game, because in the back of the box there's also a company logo for Acme Game Studio. I'm not sure why that wouldn't be on the front for. Maybe it's a multi-dev build or multi-dev game. It's made in Unreal Engine, so I'm going to assume that means Unreal Engine 4. Though this game did come out this year, so maybe it is Unreal Engine 5. We'll have to see when we get in what it looks like, because it's very easy to tell if a game is made in Unreal Engine 4. Very, very easy compared to Unreal Engine 5. And this game doesn't feel big budget enough, or didn't cost as much as I would think a Unreal Engine 5 game would. But we'll see. Anyways, back to the box. Decide the fate of Aphis. Embark on a journey full of danger in this action RPG inspired by Greek and Roman mythologies. Explore breathtaking city of Aphis and forge your way through legions of unique foes and mythical bosses to discover the truth behind the city's curse. So explore streets of Aphis, build your own legacy, and fight challenging enemies. What's on the back of the box? That's why. And like some of the way that the gameplay kind of looks made me think this was like more Souls-like. But we'll need to see. There's been a huge Souls-like kick lately on games, if you haven't noticed. And it's usually like they label it action RPG a lot of the time. But it could also, action RPG could also mean DMC-like. Like Solstice, which I thought was also going to be a Souls game, ended up being a DMC-like game. So I don't really know what to expect. If this is a Souls-like, then we're going to be looking at game mechanics, level design, primarily, and then the art style, I guess, secondarily, and like UI and stuff. If it's a DMC-like, we're going to be looking at combat primarily, and then audio and UI secondarily, and level design to be like the third tertiary kind of thing we're looking at. So, now if you're wondering why there's this distinction between the two, right? It's because DMC games are very linear. You don't have much exploration you can do in them. Maps are very self-contained. Whereas with a Souls-like game, you have a level, usually a large level of explorability, and the game is placed in a pretty wide linear world, if not open world entirely. Whereas DMCs are very linear, so level design in DMC games is not very important overall, compared to other systems that are in the game, other things that are in the game that are important. Whereas level design is more important for a Souls-like because of how the game mechanics work. Like, you can usually fall off of stuff, and there's usually a certain level of like puzzles and stuff built into the map enough that it makes a difference. Whereas with DMC, usually you have minor puzzles; they're not very intricate, and it's more about the combat specifically. But both the genres have a major focus on the combat systems. So that's why there's this distinction that I made between level design on the two and where they would go at, stuff like that. So, but yeah, let's go and check out and see what this game is. We got some files I still need to copy over. I mean, the thing is, the character model isn't going to be reflective here. This could just be like, this is like promotional, probably a CGI version of the character. That said, you get pretty good looking characters in UE4 anyway. Like FS7 Remake was a UE4 game. If that game was in Unreal Engine 5, holy shit. Okay, so Acme Game Studio is on there for real. So I'm not sure what the difference is between that and the other one. And why there's like a split like that. I wonder if Tiny Build's like some... I'll have to look that up and see what Tiny Build is. You know what? Let me actually look up and see what it is right next. I'm curious enough to do so. Oh, interesting. This is interesting. Okay, Tiny Build. So Tiny Build is a indie game dev morphed into a developer publisher. Are they a porter? Do they port games? Let's see. Let me go look up their Twitter page or Wikipedia page. Or do they have one? This is their website. What do you actually do? So they're a publisher, though. So I wonder if Gearbox published this game on console and Tiny Build did the port of it to PC. Because it seems like Tiny Build is a publisher that does ports, you know, for indie games. I like the music so far here. So if Tiny Build is actually a publisher, I don't know what Gearbox's involvement with this is then. That's kind of interesting. Anyway, alright, so this is kind of interesting though. It tells you can select your own confirmation button. I haven't seen this before. presented in this fashion anyway, I should say. I mean, you know, there are games where you can change the button config, but, you know, asking you which one you want to use, it's a bit different. Well, I am a American heathen, so we're going to be using the cross for the confirmation. Okay, so we got a Roman warrior on the front here, it seems. Could be a Spartan-like kind of character design there. Kind of seems like it. So what do we got on our stuff here? I always like to check the options to see what we have. So underneath game, we've got a bunch of things that are not really game. So the options are you know, they are configured a bit weirdly. Like there should be game, then audio, then video. We got audio underneath game. It's kind of weird. Let's see. Enemies, meter, and lock tip. HUD display, enemy damage display, tutorial, main quest objectives, camera shake. Technically, I would consider camera shake to be a accessibility option. So that's technically an accessibility option there. Camera around player, or you can change how that. Interesting. Or you can disable it. Cool. Camera following, reduce strong lighting effects. That could be considered a. That could be considered. This is also an accessibility option. This is like an opposite spectrum of what you usually see in games, where they take stuff that aren't accessibility options and throw them into an accessibility options category. In this game, we have no accessibility options category with accessibility options in other categories. So we got two accessibility options. I haven't seen like epilepsy options before like this. Usually they just have like a thing that's at the beginning that says we have epilepsy, you know, maybe you don't play the game. So that's kind of cool. Automatically skip respawn animation, that's interesting. So we got some interesting options here, and some accessibility options that I haven't seen before. It's kind of cool. Interesting. Oh, we have actual customization there. Okay. So options are kind of bare bones, but it is a. It seems to be a console game at heart, so that's fine. All right. So story, adventure, and challenge. Well, we're gonna go with the normal difficulty, which is probably what this is. Oh, hold. Okay. In a land far away, brave girls come to load too fast. That's the problem with loading screens in the PS5, is that you just can't read them.
I'll be able to help. I promise. Please, just let me join.
Why is that voice sound familiar?
Don't let me my decision. It's not yet time for you to take part in this mission.
No! Papa!
I've heard that voice actors before. Somewhere. Okay, so that's obviously our character's father.
By the winds.
Outer Rim, Dusk Edge.
The magic aura here must be too strong. And here I thought I'd gotten used to it. This is the cursed city of Aphis, after all. Oh, my things are all gone. Damn it. Just what I needed.
Nice. So we've lost all of our abilities. I like that. It's very Metroidvania. Exploration, mood, okay, normal stuff. It's fine. I do not know if this is Unreal Engine 5. Oh, that was an interesting check.
Remember, I suddenly lost consciousness right as I jumped down. Forget it. At least I'm all right now. I'd better finish my mission first.
Interesting. So contextual, not contextual, but interact with things to get parts of the story. No, this has got to be Unreal Engine 4. I'm pretty sure this is UE4. I'm trying to see like lighting wise, like if yeah, this has got to be UE4. If this is UE5, the lighting would be a lot more intense here, I think. You'll be able to see the God rays more. There'll be more light bouncing going on than this. I'm pretty sure this is Unreal Engine 4. What other systems did this come out on? That's another easy way to tell. Okay, this is definitely 4, because it's on the PS4 too. So this has got to be a PS4 game. The PS4 cannot run cannot run UE5 games. So yeah, it's definitely a UE4 game. That's what I figured. Okay. Like I said, UE4 can do some pretty damn good stuff, especially like towards the end of the last generation. Some games are coming out that were insane looking for UE4. Which means that if Rebirth is running on 5, we're gonna see some pretty insane shit, I think. What is this? Base combat weapon attacks consist of what attacks and techniques, different weapons and different techniques. Interesting. Okay, I'm leaning more towards a DMC-ish like at this point. But we'll see. So L1 is the technique, square is the attack. L2 is the second weapon technique, and triangle second attack. We have a roll and a roll cancel. Oh, roll and cancel. Dash.
Damn, some of my weapons are missing. What happened while I was knocked out?
Then again, this roll is like a Dark Souls roll here. Oh no. Okay, this is definitely not. This is okay. This is definitely a. This is a souls-like. I can just tell from this attack right here. If this was a DMC-like, we'd have much more action-y kind of combos. So this is definitely a souls-like. Cool. We need to do something about the background audio is a bit loud. The audio's not mixed quite right. Right, so we can assign quick items. This is definitely a souls-like. Let's see. Audio. So we're gonna increase the voice volume. I was actually down. Okay, so those were at half. That's why. I usually like doing this, 90 or 100 on voice, then music 75, 70, and then like half or 60 for background. What's this? Legion Special Orders. I hereby appoint Hilda, warrior of the Legion, to act on my behalf, sending her to the ruins of the ancient city of Apis to investigate the whereabouts of the unit deployed to execute Operation Ashwind, and hereby grant her the highest authority in regards to this investigation. Directions the directions to and the location of the ancient city are enclosed. Okay. Hilda's to locate the targets and establish contact with them, providing assistance to Operation Ashwind if needed. She is unable to contact them. She is to report to command center as soon as possible. By order of Acting Commander Ludwig, 12th day, 5th month, year 462, Age of Kings.
There's been no word from my father or the Legion since they arrived at the Cursed City. I need to find them as soon as possible. This is my only chance to prove myself.
Oops.
Maybe I should have looked around first.
Pint of Stardust.
I've never seen such a high purity. Could it be something from Aphis?
Pint of Stardust. Oh, what the hell?
Hey, who's that? Hey!
That's a crazy...
Stop!
What the hell? The way it's running away. It's hilarious. It's like, this is mine. Yeah, yeah.
Put down my weapons, you hear me?
Salve. We got a chest over here. Whoop. Whoop.
If I had my daggers, I could pry it open.
Oh wow, that's interesting. Runaway's Diary number 3. I have to leave Aphis, sooner the better. This cursed city, people are going crazy. This is a cursed city, people are going crazy, and animals are transforming into monsters. I don't even have a chance to use the match guidance I prepared. I'll head for the coast. People say that it's a place that is furthest from the gods of stars, and that there is the underwater city filled with magic. Surely I can find something that can break the curse in Aphis. I have to get there. To whoever's out there, please help me. Interesting. So we'll need to come back here for that chest. Okay, there's dashing. Okay, I guess we're going over here.
Hey! Stop! Damn it! He got through! I need to think of a way to get to the other side. Yeah.
Okay, so contextual climbing.
Is that a magicite device ahead?
Conduit. Making contact with the conduit will record it as the location of Hilda's emergency teleportation. Using the rest feature will restore HP, but also cause... Okay, this is definitely a Souls-like. Ability, switch the ability page, choose a talent, and Hilda can invest talent points into the talent tree to learn augmentation, skills, and perks. You have to mark X on the talent that is directly linked to the learned one first. What is it? You have to mark X, the talent that is directly linked to the learned one first, then press confirm to learn the talent. That's kind of weirdly. When you learn a new skill or perk via your talents, you can change the configuration of your skills and perks in the ability page. So if you learn something, you also then have to equip it. Interesting. Conquer stages by making flexible use of configurations. Okay, so this is like a build system here. Which is kind of cool. At the same time, you can also set up your attribute points however you like to increase Hilda's stats like HP.
Whoa. What is this feeling? My body feels normal. It should be fine, right?
Interesting. Markstone 1. It's an owl. Owls are never a good sign. Oh, there's the other. Okay, so we have this, and then we have this. Is it the same weapon? Because when I swing, there's like a I think this is the same weapon because there's a mechanical sound, right? like when I switch between the two different attack modes, there's a mechanical sound to the first attack. So I think it's the same weapon, just morphing into different types of weapons. That's pretty cool. So let's see. How do I open up? So these are like abilities, I guess. Oh, we have a jump button. It's on R2 though. That's freaking weird. That is very weird. Squirrel. That's a share button. Ah, okay, trackpad. So let's see ability here. We got 5 talent points. We have 8 ability attribute points. What are we there? Setting something. Setting skills. Okay. So Stormbreaker continues to deal high damage to enemies within a large area in front of you. Setting perks. Don't have anything unlocked though. PCS. ACN. Constitution. Makes sense. What is PCS, though? And what's ACN? SDR, APR? Ah, here we go. Precision. Invest in this attribute to increase damage for all kinds of attacks. Arcane. Okay. Invest in to increase the AP recover rate and skill damage rate. Okay, APRS SDR. Gotcha. Skill damage rate is the rate that skills do damage. Makes sense. APR. And Astral point recovery rate. Additional HP rates you can gain from dealing normal attacks. So that must be for your special abilities. Okay. Okay. Then we'll do this. We'll do this kind of thing here. I'll put most on the con for the moment. Talent points. Let's see. This is our current tree, it seems. So the middle is our Stormbreaker ability, which you already know. And we have 3 other places we can go from there. We have Magic Gem. When you attack with your weapon, you can condense energy into a magic gem that increases your AP rate. Interesting. Rolling in quick step costs less SP. Improve your poise, making you less likely to be interrupted by enemies. Okay, we got systems here. We got major systems here. Let's go and put a point into this. Oh, I see. So you can reconfigure your. It's not like you're spending these points. You are configuring your ability grid here. Let's call it. So you can reconfigure this at will. Interesting. Interesting. But you always have the Stormbreaker, it seems. Alright, this unlocks Adrenaline Rush, which makes you take less damage during healing. So healing must be over time. Giant Throw increases the range of throwing items. We'll go and put one onto here. Astral Siphon. Skills cost 10% less SP. Triple Force. You can have up to 3 magic gems, additively increasing AP rate. Let's do that. Rejuvenation. Pints of Stardust restore more AP, but takes more time and a maximum number that can be carried and the time decreases. Interesting. So this is kind of like the opposite sort of thing you would normally see with like a healing item boost, where you get more. This one, it makes them stronger, but you get less. Plus it gives you 5 attack. Potion knowledge. Salves restore HP at a faster rate, but the maximum number you can be carried is decreased by 4. And gives you more HP. It's interesting that he has some negative sides to these perks. Yeah, this is interesting. So these perks are kind of very double-edged sword. You know, they're very balanced in that way. Whereas these augmentations are very just positive kind of oriented, right? But these have greater effects and more implications to gameplay, right? So this is a really interesting system so far. Interesting. The more lower your HP, the more damage you deal and take. So you deal more damage, but you also take more damage. So it's kind of like a berserk mode almost, kind of like a increasing berserk mode. So the emphasis on these perks is that you really need, they really want to focus you on using the augmentations first. Because the complexity of the perks means that you need to have a good understanding of how certain things work, how the systems work, right? And what does it mean that you have a decreased number of pints of Stardust you can carry at a time, right? How does it affect the gameplay? How does it affect the gameplay that you lose for healing items, you know? So this is a pretty interesting system here. I'm guessing Stardust is the upgrade currency, maybe? Whoops. So I kind of want to do both of these. Oh, I need to use square to confirm the selections. Or actually, it seems like you can't undo these. Maybe the perks are enableable, so you can turn them on and off as you will as you want to. Maybe that's it. I think that might be actually what it is, because that did seem a little weird that you could just go in and unuse points, right? I think that's just the marking process. In other words, the marking to learn process. You could do that. Then when you confirm, you actually spend the points. That makes sense. You might also have an ability to respec this stuff out too, potentially. All right, profile. I actually have a way to spin the character model around. So it's kind of crazy how many games have this feature in them now. It's like move character models around like that. All right, so level 1 Hilda, we get 680 HP. SP is 100 AP. We have an EXP system, so maybe we just get EXP period from maybe Stardust to something else. Maybe that's money. Resistance is down there, the bottom. So we have, I think, dark electricity, fire, ice, and then those are physical stuff like piercing, slash, and blunt damage resistance. Got our quick item thing over here. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so that's all. It's astral type damage. Okay, not darkness. Anything new? Don't think so. Astral points. That was actually interesting. So there's different costumes and things you could find. Okay. And there's kind of a... There's some like lore on these. So Northwind attire, light armor of Anbari's Northwind region, made by leather and cloth. The suit is great in both resistance and flexibility. Paragon armor. An outsider warrior had averted the fate of a city. People sing for her, telling her her deeds would be held with the stars, like the paragons, to be remembered for generations. Interesting. I wonder, does that have any actual implications to stats? It doesn't seem so. It's just all cosmetic. Pretty good detail in the armor, though. It's kind of interesting. Yeah, it seems like it's just cosmetic. Yeah. Okay. I am fine with that. Trinkets. We don't have any trinkets yet. There's a lot of slots there for them. So we have sword and shield and hammer at the moment. And this is +0, +1, or +0, so I'm guessing we can improve those over time. Inventory usable. What is this thing over here? Place a markstone in the assigned location. You can disable specific. Disable mark by focusing a camera on it and pressing the interact button. Only assigned user can sense the mark. Helps Legion warriors identify directions during their missions. It's interesting. So I wonder if it like allows you to like mark something on a map or whatever. Astral Enchantite. Imbues astral element to weapons and charge bombs. So it's like an upgrade material. Interesting. Father's farewell letter. Oh, that was the... Oh, wait, this is... I don't think we've seen this yet. So this is like lore here. Dear Hilda. Or Dear Hilda. Being able to watch you grow and witness your emerging radiance is the only comfort I have in this dark and dreary world that has hurt me countless times. Even if you are still not fully independent, I can feel your perseverance through your footsteps, your vitality through your cries, and your hopefulness and determination through your eyes. However, I'm still not able to let you join this operation, and I have no expectations that you will ever understand this matter. No, I have no expectations that you will be understanding this matter. I hope you know that everything I do is out of my duty as a commander, not my personal selfishness as your father. Since this mission to Aphis will permit no turning back, I require elite warriors, not children who have yet to mature. Give yourself more time, hone your skills, and become a more level-headed person. My instincts tell me that this is a crucial time in your growth, and thus, after careful consideration, this is the best answer I can give you. I hope that you can remember my advice when you face your own dilemmas in the future. The Living Father, Harold. Interesting, okay. So, our character seems to be a bit hot-headed then. I kind of got that from her reaction to finding that her weapons had been stolen. And then seeing who stole them and chasing after them and whatnot. The Fallen Star. One thing is for sure after investigating the Outer Rim is that Aphis has become a fallen star, a lost city. Despite being reluctant to accept this fact after seeing the dense forest all around and remains of so many would-be invaders, I've no choice but to admit this is a reality. They thought that coming to Aphis would be adventure, a treasure hunting expedition. They thought the city would be a treasure trove, ripe for plunder. Unfortunately, they thought wrong. They underestimated the great Aphis. I think it's Aphis, not Aphis, but it could be Aphis, I suppose. At that time, the Archon ordered the destruction of the bridge leading to the city to stop the Konthal invasion. Broken walls around me as I write this journal are a testament to that. Most were eaten alive by beasts in the Outer Rim. The few managed to make it past succumb to the curse. Interesting. Okay. Lock on a target with R3. Okay, so if you block, you get a stagger effect on the enemy. So I wonder if I could change this. What I don't like about the lock-on is that it forces the camera behind you. Let's see if we can change that. Camera direction, sensitivity, forward, horizontal, reverse. Let's see how this does.
Looks like you want it the hard way.
Use skills, R1 plus. So when you're locked on, the camera is locked in place. Whoa. Okay. Okay, cool. Okay, so you can break the shield. This guy's a mage of some sorts. Oh, okay. So if you get hit by a pretty powerful attack, you get stunned for a while. Interesting.
I need to hurry up and find my weapons.
There's the daggers, I think.
Staff, spear, bracelets, and my daggers. All
Yeah,
right,
okay, everything else.
throw
Okay.
them all back.
Equip weapons. After retrieving all your weapons, you can open the menu at any time, change configuration. Okay.
This will make getting to Aphis much easier.
So we're gonna double back really fast here. And go grab that chest we couldn't open before. Oh wait, there's that thing down there. Interesting. So at these points you can't jump up these, you have to climb. That's kind of weird. Actually kind of weird. This game gives me, you know what this game reminds me of? Mortal Shell. A little bit. Gift of the Nexus. We got starite or fragment. Okay. Gift of the Nexus. Is it like a maybe not an achievement, but a like a perk or something? What was that? Wait a second. Oh, was it this thing, Oh, it was this thing. Okay, that's what that was. So I'm guessing that if I interact with that, that acts like a bonfire. So if I do that, it might respawn enemies, potentially. Rest, leave. So okay, unlike on other Souls-like games, You actually can upgrade yourself at any point, and this is only for healing. Interesting. Okay, yeah, they're back. Doesn't seem like there's any kind of perfect blocking. Blocking inherently has a kind of knockback quality to it. Leveled up. Cool. What do we got? Run of my diary 2. Damn it, those guards have not. Those guards could not have been more useless. Eaten by a crocodile, of all things. Atrocious. Anyway, what was that fire-breathing monster? I've never seen a beast like that before. Praise to the 3. I would be dead now if that monster and the crocodile had not kept each other occupied. Cannot end like this. I am an Aristoi. I will not die here, not like this. So I'm guessing that's like a based on kind of higher ranking person society, like Aristoi, like a noble. So I'm guessing one of those two creatures are going to be the boss will face. That's a lot of enemies. So, it says we can change our weapons at any point. Okay, yeah, so we got all kinds of weapons we can use. So, Northwind daggers, Northwind sword and shield, standard issue long sword and shield of the Northwind region. After Hilda made some modifications to the shield, it can now expand and generate a magical barrier. Okay, so we got our character's kind of a tinkerer of sorts, improving its portability at no cost to its defensive capabilities. Cool. Pair of standard issue daggers of the Northwind region. One of the daggers is a gift from Harold to Hilda, given to her for completing our rite of passage. The other dagger belonged to her brother, Carl. Hilda redesigned it and bolstered its ability to hold magical energy, increasing its attack prowess. So yeah, it seems like our character's fairly has some ingenuity to like do stuff. Sliding dodge. The dagger's sliding dodge technique has a longer period of invulnerability and longer move distance than normal dodge. Sliding dodge allows you to swiftly enter and leave the fray. You can use it to chase after enemies. Interesting. Northwind hammer. Standard issue hammer of the Northwind Legion. Hilda added more magic couplers to it, allowing magical energy to flow more smoothly and efficiently through it. Fusing magical energy into the hammer will cause it to transform and can perform stronger attacks by releasing energy on impact. Charged attack performs a charged attack with the hammer. Charged attacks cannot be deflected by enemy defenses. In fact, the powerful strength of these attacks can even shatter enemy defenses as charge increases. Okay, so I should have probably used the hammer on the shield guy back there. As the charge increases, attack may even be capable of inflicting knockdown effect on an enemy. Standard issue Spear of the Northwind Legion, versatile weapon that can be used in all kinds of situations. Hilda incorporated the suggestion of her comrades into the modification of this weapon. As a result, the impact when parrying an attack is reduced, allowing its user to counter attack swiftly. Parry technique. Parrying with the spear leads to a temporary defensive effect. If you successfully withstand the enemy's attack, you can perform a counter attack by pressing the attack button. Counterattacks are more powerful and are also capable of causing knockdown. Okay. So some of the mechanics have been moved off onto weapons, which is interesting. Northwind Staff. Standard Staff Northwind Legion. Hilda added magic couplers to her personal staff. This has enabled it to transform according to the mode of attack for maximum effect, allowing Hilda to fight with greater flexibility. Charged Rays. Shoots concentrated magic from the top of the staff, allowing Hilda to deal damage to enemies from a distance. Attack range of charged rays is much further than that of magic missiles from an attack. Interesting. Bracelets. Pair of standard issue bracelets in Northwind Legion. These lightweight magical artifacts specifically customized for close range combat. After Hilda's modifications, they can now channel magical energy into the ground and turn the area into a magical landmine that will explode when someone steps on it. Interesting. Magical landmines with magic, then set them on the ground. If an enemy steps on a magical landmine, it will explode, dealing damage and causing a knockdown effect. Cool. So we got lots of different weapons and actually the character model changes too depending on the weapon. Interesting. And they all have different gameplay mechanics too. So this is interesting. Ah. Okay, combat, yeah, so combat does remind me a lot of Mortal Coil because of how slow it feels. Things have a lot of weights to them, right? And enemies can do some pretty serious things to you in return. Like if you get hit by like that magic ability, you get knocked down. And it's a true knockdown, like you're in a stun state basically. Okay, so it's heal over time. Good to know. Let's see what's down here. Actually, I'm guessing the alligator might be down here. That seems like a boss arena to me. Let's go back over this way real quick. And a creature down there. I wonder if you're supposed to follow it. Oh, it stole money from me. What the hell? This is an interesting mechanic. An enemy that steals stuff from you. Important item. Or no, it had something. Maybe it always had something. Morningstar Elixir. I don't think that was one of my items. That's kind of interesting. You have enemies that have... So that's like, you know, like in Souls games where you have those certain enemies that spawn that can drop, like in Elden Ring, you get those things that drop that. The beetles will drop the ashes, and like in Souls and like Bloodborne, you have those enemies that drop large amounts of souls or soul creating items and stuff like that. That's what that feels like. That's one of those kind of creatures. Oh, it's okay. So we made a shortcut back to here. Gotcha. So if we wanted to come back here and save, or at least to heal, we can do that. So that's definitely a boss fight over there then. Okay, cool. All right, let's see what we do. We have some we have a perk or something we can do, don't we? All right, yeah, we have some ability points and things to use. I'm gonna put this on to health. Well, yeah. Let's go to attack. Let's do it on attack. And for the talents, let's make a... Decrease the rear detection range of an enemy. Oh, so you can sneak up behind them more effectively, I guess. Let's go ahead and let's get this, so make healing more effective. Alright. Ravenous the Devourer. Okay. Definitely a boss.
Damn it. Can't keep going until I...
Okay. Oh, wow, okay. Whoa, what was that? Whoa, whoa, okay. Oh, I see. It actually has it splits off stuff. Okay. Oh damn. Okay. This guy has a lot of moves. It feels like the hammer's too slow to fight this guy with. Oh god. I died. Nice, okay. This is definitely... Okay, so this is the death animation. So you can disable this if you want to. I think you can also skip it. Damn, though. Okay. Level up. Oh, we just destroyed that other guy. Okay. We also get another level there. Okay. So this is a pretty tough boss actually. They're actually still on the map too, so you don't have to go through the animation of having to come back in. So at first it seemed like it was gonna be fairly easy, right? It didn't seem like it was that big of a deal, but actually it is. Like, it's a legit boss. Like, legit Souls-style boss. What's interesting is that there's actually potions you can pick up in the field here. So yeah, I can't... The hammer's too slow to use at the moment. At least, not unless we have a certain attack that slows him down, like that one. Not the jump, but the one he gets on his hind legs and walks forward. That one. That one might be enough to... Oh, nice. We knocked him down. Oof. Okay. Oh, man. Okay. So he has an attack pattern. I got hit by that. Correct. I wonder if it changes based on health. Like if he has phases or not. I got hit by that. I don't have the stuff I need for that. I see down there in the bottom. Oh, he actually interrupted that. Interesting, but I still knocked him down. Oh wow, that was a lot of damage. Let me heal that. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, buddy. So he does have new moves based on health. Time to get greedy. There we go. Hey, that was legit pretty cool. That legit felt like an actual Souls fight. For our first boss, and he dropped something. What did he drop?
That's the Northwind Legion's mark on the hilt.
Legion dagger.
Come this way. Perfect. At least I'm on the right track. They must have already entered Aphis.
What is this? This weird thing on the ground here. I wonder if that one move that he used that did that spout, water spout thing, if that set up like a bomb or something on the ground. It must be because that thing's gone now. So it must have been like a trap or something. As far as first bosses go, right? This boss felt way better than the one from Themisia, like the clown dude. This felt like a legit actual challenge. Got a rune of some kind there. Also, we can climb this. Bird crap infested ledge. Oh, we got another thing over there. So this is Aphis, I guess?
North Wind. Such a grand city wall. This must be Aphis.
Aphis. Okay, it is Aphis. Okay. Well, Aphis. I was saying Aphis. Aphis. Okay. That makes sense. Okay.
They must have found a way to get in somewhere around here.
Let's enable this and then get a save going. Okay, and I think that means it's saving the icon up there. Okay, let's talk about this game. That's enough. We got through the first boss. So, Asterigos. Surprisingly interesting, right? Obviously, this is Souls-like. Combat is very, very Souls-like. It's not, you get Souls-like games, like, say, Thymesia, they feel a lot more action-y than, like, no regular a Souls game does, right? even for what it is, Thymesia feels very action-y. Can you fall off the edge? Oh, hell, you can. Okay, well, we answered that question. Okay, so the second the revival thing is faster than the first one. The first one goes through the whole thing. Okay, well, you can fall off the edges. That's good to know. Let's do that. Really good backing shot for this. Okay, so so pretty interesting. So let's go through the different categories, and then we'll do the overall. I'll start and do the overall first. So gameplay and game design. So the gameplay mechanics feel very Souls-like, Souls inspired. Attacking is risky. You know, it's not like you just go in and wail on the dude like in Thymesia, or even to a certain extent in like Elden Ring. It's very attacks. Have a inherent risk to them because there is a slowness to them. Especially with like the hammer. The hammer is a super risky thing to use on certain enemies because it's very slow. Like that boss, I could almost never use the hammer on him because he was too quick to retaliate, and I couldn't get a hit in with it unless he was like stunned for a moment or knocked down or something. The different weapons had different abilities, different facets to them, which is cool. They all have different specific abilities, and they all have different strengths and weaknesses. Like the hammer hits hard, but it also is really slow. The sword and shield are good for defense, but they also are very basic. I haven't tried the other ones yet, so I don't know about those. But they all have different abilities they can do and have different... Like the staff is like a ranged weapon kind of thing. Daggers are fast, but probably don't do so much damage. And then we have this thing spinning around now. The combat feels really good. It definitely feels like a Souls game sort of combat. Way more than most other Souls-likes I've played. Like, Thymesia doesn't feel half the Soulsiness that this one does. This feels like a lot like, if I was going to make a direct comparison to another Souls-like game, I would say this is very close to the same kind of feeling you get from Mortal Coil. Or Mortal Shell, in terms of like the combat. Very deliberate, very heavy based actions. Like your attacks have weight to them. Enemies' attacks have weight to them. They have specific consequences. Like if you get hit by like a charged attack by an enemy, you get knocked down. You actually get stun locked for a while. So there are like consequences to taking hits, certain types of hits that you don't necessarily get from other games. And that isn't even necessarily like a Souls mechanic either. That's something that's not in Souls, as far as I know, is the ability for you to get knocked down like that, to get stunned like that. I don't recall that being in too many Souls games or Souls-like games from FromSoft. I know there's like certain things, like in Bloodborne, there's like the ability where you can get like frenzied and stuff like that, and like command locked by enemies, but nothing like where you just get stunned by an attack. I'm not familiar with anything in Souls games like that. So that's pretty cool. I like that you have specific abilities you can learn and then utilize in combat. I like also the perk system's kind of interesting. Like you build out a grid of options and then you unlock stuff that way. I like that the perks are very positive and negative too. Like one of the things I like to do is if I give you some kind of ability in the game I'm doing, either I'm modding or building, making myself. If you get an ability that gives you some kind of perk, it's going to have some sort of weakness to it too, because it's balanced that way, right? Like if a weapon has, like if you have a weapon that gives you a lot of strength, a lot of attack power, and is like a bigger weapon, it's also going to reduce your agility because it's a bigger weapon, and so you won't be able to move as freely while you're wielding it. Like in a game, Legend of Emilar, if you're using a scythe or like a large two-handed weapon, those kinds of weapons will reduce your agility, because they should, because they're huge, bulky, heavy weapons that should reduce your ability to move. So the fact that the perks have positive and negatives is a good thing to me. It means that they're going to be more balanced. It does mean that they don't give you, like, some could argue that part of the charm of a Souls game is as you get more powerful and get more things, you become more powerful, and the enemies don't really. They always stay the kind of same difficult that they are, because Souls games are kind of designed to be overcome without getting those extra buffs and things, right? It may be a hell of a lot harder, almost impossible, but it should be possible to do eventually. And part of the act of getting these extra buffs that make you stronger but don't give you any negatives is that they bring you on a more level playing field with the enemies. In this game, it seems like the buffs give you negatives too, so while you get stronger abilities, they also have negative effects that then make the combat situations you're in more risky. So while you might heal more from using a potion, you have less to use overall. So like we have 20 right now, so it's kind of like similar to Bloodborne's Blood Vials. Imagine in Bloodborne if you had an ability that you can unlock and use that would make your healing vials heal 40% more of your health, but that you'd only have 5 of them instead of 20. That's kind of like what this is setting up. So you get like a big perk of more healing, but then you also have the negative effect of the perk that you have less ability to heal because you have less items to use. So that's kind of interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing how that affects the game going forward with other perks and things too. The bosses, from what I've seen from the first boss, bosses are going to be very Souls-like in this game. This game has, again, going back to Mortal Shell, has a very, seems like the bosses have a deep level of variability, and that the combat surrounding those abilities is well thought out. The boss fight with the clown thing in Thymesia was cool, but it felt really stale, right? Or static or something, I guess. Because one, the abilities of the boss didn't really change over time. It had a certain attack pattern that it used, and you could learn that pattern really easily. This boss felt like it was actually making decisions based on criteria, right? It wasn't just following a set kind of, well, not even a set. Like I would say Themesia's boss AI is not as complex as this game's, because this game, it felt like when I was healing, the boss was doing something to stop me from healing, or if I was trying to do something specific, like with the hammer, it was like, oh, I'm going to attack while you're doing this because I can, and I should punish you for doing something stupid like that. It felt like the AI, the boss AI, was legitimately, reacting to things I was doing, as opposed to just following a set of instructions and then when some specific thing happened, doing something, Like, I could reliably rely on the Thymesia boss to do something after a certain amount of time. This guy seemed to be doing things that were not predictable, which I like. So overall, for gameplay in this game, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. It's really good. Feels really good. There's a lot of options in terms of like the combat style you want to use based on the weapons. Bosses feel like they are actually interacting with you when you fight them. That might just be, in terms of Thymesia and talking about Thymesia relation in this game, it might be just because Themesia's boss was intended to be more of a tutorial boss. This one was, the first boss you run into, but it felt like, the game was setting up an expectation that you're going to have to deal with this level of difficulty, Whereas Thymesia was more like maybe, well, here's a boss, we're going to give you an example, a little taste of what is to come. But this boss is going to be easier to fight because we want it to be a more I'm not saying inclusive, but you know, we want people to be, we want it to be an easier barrier to entry to the rest of the game. Whereas this boss was like, okay, here's what these bosses will do to you, deal with it, kind of thing. So really good combat, and it left a really good impression. Art design, let's go with that. So for art design, the UI, let's start with the UI, is very minimal, which is good. Souls games benefit from minimal AI, minimal UI, I mean. I think, because that's like one of the, I think, charms of it, is that there's not really much there in terms of the game systems. Maybe you have some abilities, maybe you have some items, you have health, you have stamina, maybe an experience system, and then that's pretty much it. You know, you don't have a whole bunch of stuff on the screen showing combos and things, because that doesn't really make sense for a Souls-like game. So I like the UI. The UI is really clean looking. You get the abilities at the bottom center, so you're like always have them in your, they're always focused in front of your view. You got your, it's point of preference. I'd really rather have the health and stuff be at the top left, because that's where it usually is in a Souls-like game. But that's fine. And then you got the quest thing on the top left there, and then bottom right is your AP gauge for abilities and stuff, which feels a lot like FP from like Elden Ring, in terms of like how it's used and utilized. So this game has some pretty good UI design. The menus look good. It doesn't look too cluttered or anything like that. Like, it's all very to the point, and it feels very Elden Ringy. Actually, the menu design. I also have some things. What is this gift? Oh, what is this thing? What is this thing? We saw this earlier. Interesting. So it's almost like, I'm not gonna say it's combat pass, because it's not really what it is, but it's kind of like that, right? Arcanic Phantom Mantle. So as you go through the game, you find certain chests, and they have these Gift of the Nexus points, and you unlock perks from those. That's interesting. Armor of the Blue Meteor. So there's also fashion souls stuff in this too. That's cool. So that's kind of like a collectibles thing. I didn't even think to look over it. So we got also other things here in terms of like the game record. I'm guessing that's stats. Yeah. Current round 1, whatever that means. Kill count 28, death count 2, salve used 7, treasure chest open 122 or 112. I wonder if current round means like this will track over multiple gameplay sessions, or if that's a gameplay session, or if that's an actual like new game plus counter. So that's interesting. Then you have all your documents you find. You can probably read here. It seems, yeah, cool. So the menus are pretty clean, and that's good. Art design. Yeah, again, everything looks the way it should. Looks good. Scale seems to be alright. It is a UE4 game, so there are some areas that could probably be a little bit better. But it's also part of the art design, I think, that things are like hyper realistic. There's a bit of a fantasy artsy vibe to some of the stuff. So things don't have to look photorealistic in this case. Like the character model feels very like World of Warcrafty, very, you know, fantasy smooth kind of vibe, right? As opposed to more realistic with like realistic skin textures and whatnot, which is fine. You don't have to have that in every game. In terms of like ground textures and stuff, these look fine. Again, ground textures are the easiest place to go and look at for things to complain about. The rock textures look okay. I don't see any texture stretching anywhere. Things don't look out of place. They look like they should and would for this kind of setting. Character design so far is really good. I like the enemy design too. Enemies have, like, they have that one interaction with that enemy that stole our stuff. Enemies have character, right? In terms of like their movements and animations and things. Like that, that alligator felt like it was a real creature doing stuff, right? In terms of like the way it looked in the animations and things. As opposed to just a NPC being animated a certain way. It felt like it was, you know, doing the movements it made felt like it would what that kind of creature of that size would do in those situations, right? So the animations and things are pretty good. Add a little extra flair to the art design of the game. Level design wise, so far things haven't been too bad. This is a very, I would say, you know, Souls-like linear kind of game. There's been some things that have approached a wide linear level almost, but not quite. Like that one area back there where we were like wandering around the larger open area. I wouldn't. That's more of like a semi-linear. I wouldn't call that wide linear. Wide linear is like you have a large area that has, you know, that you can. It's like wide linear is kind of like what we're seeing with some of the places in Star Ocean 6. That some of those areas are wide linear. Whereas like Elden Ring is just open world. This is more of a restricted linear kind of traditional sort of Dark Souls level design, which is not a bad thing. I do think that there could be a little more openness though. Like the areas that we're walking through are a little restrictive for the amount of enemies they're putting in, but at the same time it's not too overwhelming, and it kind of adds that extra little bit of challenge that you expect from like a Souls-like game to have. But I do think there is a little bit of jank there, I think, in terms of the level design. It doesn't reach like a Dark Souls 2 kind of like bad design, but it is something that kind of is a little weird that there's that many, like that one area before the boss, there's enemies all over the place in that small area. So let's see going forward how that pans out. Overall, though, for art design on this game, I'll give it a 7 out of 10, with room to grow. Sound design, audio design. So far, there has been some like background music right now that's going. But I think that's because we're in a particular scene here. If we go forward. I guess yeah. There's been some background music throughout the game. I guess it's not a deal breaker, not a huge thing, but it's, you know, I'd rather prefer there to be only ambient audio in a Souls game, where possible. At least it isn't like over the top kind of music like what we had in Star Ocean 6. Like they had that weird, really hectic sounding music when there was really nothing going on, so it's not out of place. It just, you know. A personal preference would be to have no background music at all, pretty much, except for during like boss battles. But I get it. You know, they want to add a little extra flavor to the scenes in the game as you're going through them. So I'm not going to fault them for that, because they did it in a way. So far, they've done it in a way that hasn't been too detracting from the, you know, traditional kind of Souls experience. Sound effects are okay. You know, weapon hits and things sound like they should. I like the one thing I like about it is like the sound of the weapon morphing into different types of weapons, right? Like, this thing on her back is her weapon, and it can take on different shapes and forms. Oh, that was interesting. There was actually an interaction there between the two weapons. That. I did not know that. So there's actual interactions and combos between weapons. Let me see. One... I wonder if it's just from the... That's the 4th hit. So it says a 4-hit combo. So it's just from the hammer to the sword. So from the first to second. Third, but not the 4th, it seems. Oh, the 4th too, okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I'm gonna knock myself off the thing here. That is interesting. So different. Okay, this reinforces my score for the 9 for gameplay. I didn't realize there were actual things like that. They didn't talk about that. So I wonder if that's like an actual, if that's a shield kind of thing that comes up that blocks some damage, or if it does like area damage. Because that seems like there's an actual effect on that. So there should be some sort of effect that causes. So certain weapons have interactions with other weapons when you use them at specific points. That adds a lot more flexibility and variability to the combat system. So yeah, I think that 9 is very well deserved. So yeah, but the switching of the weapons between the weapon types and like how it sounds like it's mechanically changing is a really nice touch. So sound effects are really good. Audio is good as well. So I think overall for audio and sound design in this game, we're going to give it a 8 out of 10. Next is story. We haven't really gotten too much of the story, but the game has actually done a pretty good job of setting up the story so far for us. It does sound interesting, so like there was in those letters and things, there were like a character establishment kind of level of things. Like we learned that our character's hot-headed and acts pretty rashly. Her father thinks that she's not ready to be entrusted with missions yet because she's not. He doesn't feel that she has the proper I don't say mentality, but mentality to handle tough decisions, I guess. Like if you were going to decide to like retreat or something like that. So the character that kind of manifests in the character too. Like when we saw that one scene where she's chasing after the thing that stole her weapons, she like yells and is like very aggressive at that point. So it kind of that leads to the whole notion of her being kind of a hothead, which is cool. Like character defining stuff like that is good to put on as early as you can, without and like showing without telling. Telling without specifically telling you this thing, right? Using interactions and events and lore kind of stuff like that to tell you what your character is all about and their quirks and things, personality and stuff like that. It's good thing to do. Part of the magic of storytelling is conveying information without actually conveying it. Giving the player information without actually telling them directly that information is kind of like the secret sauce of writing a good story. So based on that and based on what we've heard so far about like the lore from like the diaries from that one person who's trying to escape the city and whatnot, it feels like they have a good grasp on writing which is not something you usually find in Souls-like games. Usually don't have very good writing, not because they aren't capable of it, because usually Souls games don't have very strong stories. So to see that in this game is kind of interesting. It makes me really interested in where the story goes and how they develop it. The game does seem to have more kind of cutscene-y things, elements in it, though. There's a lot more, like, there was a lot of cutscenes and a lot of dialogue scenes up to this point that added a little extra to the story element of the game. And the story seems pretty interesting too. So we're essentially chasing after our father. He went on a mission with some soldiers to see what happened in this town, and they did come back, and we're kind of going after him to figure out what happened. Or rather, well, we're not going after him. We've been ordered to go and see what happened to the expedition and to assist if possible. So it kind of has, you know, that sort of cliche Dark Souls sort of thing where there's a city, it's been overcome by some kind of thing, and everybody got turned into monsters or whatever, you know, kind of situation going on, which is definitely a Dark Souls cliche, but still, it's done in an interesting way. The setting is interesting. It's actually more ancient than, like, a lot of Souls games are kind of set in a medieval sort of period. This is set in a much further back period, although you got some extra technology and stuff from, like, her weapon in this thing here, so it's a little bit more mythical fantasy. But it's set in, like, a time of, like, some sort of mixture of Roman and Greek sort of time period, which is an interesting kind of concept too. Kind of like very God of War-ish sort of themes going on here. So that's pretty cool. And writing seems to be fairly decent so far. So for story, I'm going to give this game a 8 out of 10. So overall, this game is actually this game has impressed me overall. I did not expect to run into this game and find it to be what it is. Like, when I saw it on Amazon and, like, it's a Gearbox game, it's like, it'll probably be decent enough. It's actually turned out to be really good. This is a 9 out of 10 game. Now, the reason why I'm saying it's 9 out of 10, even though we didn't have very many 9s, is that this is a situation where the sum of the parts, or the whole, is greater than the sum of the parts. All the things combined together with what I've seen and what I think is going to happen going forward is that we're just going to keep getting more and more stuff added in. It's going to be, combat will get much deeper. The whole thing with, like, the weapons interacting is going to become much more prominent as we progress. Storytelling is pretty good, and I expect it to get better just based on how they've structured it so far. It's structured in such a way that it makes me believe that they know what they're doing and they actually can write a good story and know how to write a good story. The gameplay elements are really good. The art elements are good. The sound elements are good. Story elements are good. Everything about this game is on a very good level. So I'm confident that this game, so far, for me, has been a 9 out of 10. It could go back a point or two, potentially, depending on, like, how things go, but I also believe it could be a 10 out of 10 game. Absolutely could go 10 out of 10. So, looking forward to jumping back into this game when we do, and checking it out again when we get, like, a full playthrough of it going. So far, though, from what I've seen, if you like Souls games, and Souls-like games, you like Roman, Greek mythology kind of stuff, and kind of like that sort of traditional, more Souls-like gameplay style, I'd recommend checking this game out because it is very interesting and potentially a very good game. Yeah, cool. So that's gonna be it for this one. Thanks for watching. Comments, questions, leave them below. And I'm gonna catch you in the next one where we're gonna be going and taking a look at a game called Trinity Trigger. That'll be the next one we do. Yeah. So I will catch everybody then. Until then, this is LMP Games, and I will see you guys later.